If the Sword Art Online series has taught me anything, it's that modern animes can be just as poorly written, boring, and generic as some of the cheesy early 90s animes. Oh, and also that the idea for a VR MMO would be pretty cool to experience. With that in mind, I picked up an anime-looking VR MMO called Zenith, The Last City, and wanted to share with you my initial experience with the game. I played the game on Steam yesterday, and first off, the account creation was nice and easy. I just booted the game, clicked play, and then new account, which gave me a warning that my account would be permanently linked to my Steam account. After agreeing, I put in my email, name, and password, and was on my way. The game saves your credentials if you want, and getting back into the game is a one-click process afterwards if you enable it. Good for ease, bad for security. The choice is yours. Before jumping into the game, you'll first have to create your character, and it's here you'll encounter a common gripe about this game that I think is super valid. No matter what option you choose, you'll look like everyone else in the game. For some reason, they let you pick a number of faces, but for whatever reason, the devs chose to only offer very subtle differences. Chins are a little thinner and spikier, and eyes are a little bit more open or closed, but other than that, all the head shapes look really identical. The hair options were slightly better, offering a kind of short dread style, longer standard male anime styles, and short upward spiky hairstyles. Like any standard character creation, they also let you pick a base hair color from a rainbow of gradients. Pretty basic though. The colors don't get any of the more modern features we're often used to now, such as gradients within colors, or the ability to color parts of a hairstyle one color and other parts another. I'm not normally one to nitpick on character creation like this, but there's a reason which I'll discuss a bit later. After designing the style of your character, you're then able to choose your class and role. At current time, you only get a choice of two, basically a mage or a fighter. For role options, there's DPS, support, and tank. To be honest, I wasn't really sure how those roles worked or if they were just showing me roles I could do with the class. I chose the dual-wielding warrior class because I'm basic, but later I'll likely try out the mage, as I think range combat might be a little fun too. After choosing your class, you're off into the game world. Well, before you actually start, there's one very important thing I meant to mention. You need to pick your VR play style, and for someone like me, this was really important. Basically, you get two locomotion choices, one being the more veteran VR player choice of having free movement using the control sticks to run around in first person. The other option, listed as out of body, mentions it may be best for those who easily get VR sickness. Sadly, despite owning two VR units for a few years, I fall into the latter. And as I get VR sickness very easily, I chose the baby path. Starting off on your VR adventure, you're dropped into some weird-looking Neo-Tokyo courtyard with an NPC near you. You run through the normal rigmarole of basic movement, interaction, and finally combat in this typical noob zone. As expected, you fight this world's version of newbie rats, just like classic old-school MMOs. I haven't quite mastered combat basics yet, but essentially, you reach down, grab your swords, and try to balance your distance out with your enemies to hit them with your swords. Initially, I thought I'd be all Billy Badass and wildly flail my swords all up in my enemy's face. But later I realized the game had actual combat mechanics, and doing what I was doing quickly resulted in my nearly getting killed by weak, pathetic noob rats. So I had to start paying attention. After pulling out your swords, you'll soon later hear a shing sound, and that's the real cue to know you should attack. By waiting for the sound and glow of your sword, you'll do a tremendously larger amount of damage. Initially, it's a bit awkward to time, but I super quickly found myself getting so used to the timing, I was naturally making my sword hits occur at the same time the sound happened, increasing my efficiency, which was cool. Along with the attack timing, there's also a blocking mechanic, which I honestly don't fully understand yet, but basically, you'll hold the trigger button on a sword and use it to block an attack. Doing so successfully will leave an opening on the enemy or sometimes stunning them, leaving them open to massive damage or allowing me to pretend like I'm Star Platinum, Outside of combat, there's a number of quests you can complete for experience and items. The game also has those infinite repeating quests you can redo by doing smaller tasks like picking up a specific number of dropped items. As far as the main quests go, it's very standard fare, which basically just guides you through basic tasks, tutorial style. I honestly didn't get very far into the game, but it does have other features I'll later get into, like a robust crafting system, climbing mechanics, zip lines, and even flying. I look forward to discovering them, but for my initial experience, I was very focused on just getting a basic grip of the game and its mechanics. And like all VR experiences, time was spent wandering the world and staring at all the neat and pretty things. Social interaction was also one of the more curious bits about the game. I was surprised, but should have expected, that the game actually has proximity chat. This initially resulted in an awkward encounter, as when I found my first group of human players, I walked up to them, looked at their equipment, and began to make remarks about them out loud. To my surprise, one of them responded to a remark I made, revealing this feature to me. I found it hard to keep my reaction comments to myself, but thankfully, this actually resulted in just unexpected conversations with people for the most part. In that way, I kind of felt like I was playing VR chat at times. But that segues into a comment I made earlier. This game needs better customization. Games like this, I think, are really ripe for good social experiences, and being given options from the start to make your character unique can really help players showcase their personality and stand out in a crowd. As I'm so new to this game, there is perhaps other options later that could facilitate this, but starting off, you totally feel like a clone in a sea of clones. And I had a horrible time trying to identify specific people in a group, even if it was only a small amount of people. Not to leave off on a sour note, I overly had a good initial experience with this game. I enjoyed learning the combat, exploring the world, and talking with other players. The locomotion options also allowed me to play for longer than most VR experiences, despite being very prone to VR sickness. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below if you'd like to see me continue my playthrough of this game, or if you have any thoughts on it or have played it yourself. Also, click the link in the description below to join our Discord and watch some anime and chat with the Senpai Squad community. We'd love to see you there. If you guys like this comment, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more anime news, reviews, and gaming, hit subscribe to Yokoso Otaku, join Senpai Squad.